Everybody, my name is Jerome Wright, and once again you're joining me on my YouTube Jeronification channel here on YouTube. Okay, in this video, I'm going to be discussing Renaissance artwork with regards to the Annunciation, meaning the announcement that of the Virgin becoming pregnant with the miracle baby Christ. Okay, um, it's my position through my ongoing paranormal experience and encounter that I have discovered what the true meaning behind all ancient texts with regards to ancient Christianity, um, miracle births, and the journey and the calls for Christ, the story behind it all, what it actually represents and where it derives from. Uh, these references are of a genetic manipulation and bridging of that of mankind's genes. What it is actually suggesting, it discusses how from our ape ancestor, our African ancestor, came the cause and genetic change and likenesses of other beings, which resulted in that of our Caucasian counterparts. It's describing how from genetically these beings emerged or genetically altered themselves from our black African ancestors and ape ancestors, and it's an evolution of mankind's genetics. Um, it's also my position that the symbolization of the cross, which I'm going to put here, identifies the cross with being the cross referencing of our genes and of mankind's genes with that of animals and creatures of our world. And this is how we became. There's a clear record as to how it all unfolded, and it's my position that such a scenario of what I'm describing here calls for a massive record. And that record, as I've discovered and shown here in my many videos, is kept in the Renaissance artwork of our world's famous artists. Through historical moments and times, they're showing you what occurred genetically and how mankind was genetically altered. And they boastfully encrypted in their artwork. And to understand and accept what I am giving to you in detail, then you can understand why these images appear the way they do. Alright, I'm going to start describing some things and make some connections. I believe also that through this, I'm going to also make a Hindu connection to that of um, 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 the the lotus, which is firmly rooted in Hindu belief as a flower, in describing how mankind genetically um, um, sprouted as well. You know what I mean? So you have to look up the lotus and then look up Hinduism, and how that is actually referred to as that is the with the lotus. Okay, and it all fits together, hand in glove. Let me hand in glove or hand in hand on what I am describing and why you will see the lotus and this, which also looks like the lily right there in that plant. I mean, in that flower pot vase. The lotus looks very much like the lily, which is also a flower that is in religion. But the reason why I am describing this flower as a lotus is because the story, the history of the lotus, with linking that of our Hindu, um, um, what do we have here? Okay. All right. With linking that with our Hindu ancient text, this story here of that lotus fits perfectly with everything that I am describing here, because the lotus is the only plant of our world that is known to grow through mud beneath water, soil, muddy soil. Through its stem goes through the water, grows through the water, and then the flower blossoms just above the water. Okay, this story of the lotus is fitting for that of everything that I'm describing of how mankind emerged. And these are all stories of how mankind emerged from dirt, from soil, through water, and then blossoming into life. The, our, our origins are fitting hand in glove to the presence of this flower, this lotus, which is here. All right. Now, I'm going to show you something about this. This is Bartolome Bartolome Esteban Murillo, and this is his painting of the Annunciation. This is 1607 to 1682. His spelling, you can possibly see it down here, is Bartolome Esteban, and his last name is Murillo, and it's 1617 to 1682. This is an Annunciation. Now I'm going to point out some encryptions to you about what's going on here with his painting. Go here to the vase. Look closely at the vase. You see what I'm describing as being the lotus. Okay, they look like lilies as well too, and I will agree with that. But lilies do not grow through mud and murky water. And look, lilies do not grow through mud. Now check this out. I'm going to describe this. Through mud, muddy soil, water, and then sprout just above the water. You want me to give you that scenario right here? The vase, when you Google this image, I'm gonna describe that scenario. First of all, go to Google lotus, okay, and then it's linked to that of the Hindu culture, okay, and how what they describe in detail about this specific flower, okay. Read up on the lotus, then um, come back to what I'm describing here. Watch how this scenario fits perfectly with that of the lotus right here. I'm going to draw your attention to this vase and the lotus flower. So I'm describing this as being the lotus flower right here. Now, the lotus grows through water. It's my position. You take this vase, you fill it with water. The stem of the lotus grows through the water. You take the stem of this flower, which I'm describing as the lotus. Let's fill this vase with water. Now we have the stem through the water. Now here's the vase. The base of the body of the vase is black, creating that murky scenario that we're talking about. But not just any black. In this vase, if you look closely, there's a face that creates that of an African face. And the lotus flowers create almost like a headdress, showing you that life sprouted from that of this presence of this African being, which represents that the origins of that of mankind. Look closely at the vase. And let me come around and I'm going to show you something here. And this is a poor copy, the people, but when you go and look at it, you actually see. But there's the chin right in here, the lips, and it even has an eye right here. There's a flower right there at where the would-be nose would be. But right there, go right there, and you will see an eye. So when you Google this image, identify this face with being a face of an African ancestor. There's an eye there, and you're seeing that the lotus is coming out of that. This scenario is identical to that is described in Hindu culture, what I just told you. There's a you can almost see the face, see the flower, how the flower cleverly creates the nose. There's the chin, there's the mouth, and there is an eye, one eye. And when you look into this, when you Google this image, you will see the eye, almost like the eye of a reptile, right here. So when you Google the image, pan in on it, and you will see this face become a face, not just any face, a black face. So now we have the Hindu culture related to what is being described here in the Annunciation of Christ. Now I'm going to take it a step further because I'm going to bring up other Annunciation pictures, but I'm going to keep this flower, this lotus flower involved. So now this vase, what is it bridged over? Well, there's the good book on the table. I put a cross on it right there. So it is stating that through our ancient rooted African ancestor, bridged through religion, not just any religion. I'm talking to the level of that of our Vatican, our papacy, who control these genetic alterings. There was a genetic change. It is stating between our African ancestor through the Vatican, our papacy, this book, and this here is a reptilian base shown as being green. A genetic change was shown, and new genes were created, taken from the basket. And this is representing those new genes here in the basket. So how do I arrive at all of that? I'm going to bring up another painting and show you in detail what is being stated by this. It is stating that through this genetic contamination that is being described here in encrypted code, that this female, this virgin, has been impregnated with everything that is being described here. Let me show you what's being described here. I'm going to bring up another image. This is Paul Rubens' Annunciation. Okay? Here's Paul Rubens' Annunciation right here. In other videos, I have shown you that in Paul Rubens' Annunciation, in the basket, there is a penis. There is the tip of the penis, there's the shaft of the penis, and you can even see veins, and you see little, even snaky-like sperms coming out of the penis in that basket. The same basket that is here. So this is showing you a basket full of semen. Because there is the penis, which Paul Rubens candidly put in there. All you have to do, people, is Google Paul Rubens' Annunciation. If he's telling you that there is a penis in the basket, what else is in there around that penis? This is semen. It's showing you genetic altering, and Paul Rubens candidly puts it out there. Here, let me bring that in closer, people, so you can get a very great, good look at this. Look. You see that? You see that big penis there, people? There's no mistaking that. And then there is a cat that is right there next to the basket. When you Google this image, you will see it. Now, what else is there? Well, I've highlighted it for you, but I'm going to show you. See, I know what creatures can genetically contributed to the genetic becoming of Christ through this supposed miracle pregnancy. You ever heard that you wear yourself on your sleeve? Well, through the many encryption styles of our Renaissance artists, I know that they use the sleeve to disclose genetic bridgings and the creatures that genetically contaminated those that are mentioned in these historical biblical moments. Here, right there, you have an eye of a horse. This is the head of the horse coming down over the horse's snout, the open mouth of the horse, the bottom chin area of the horse coming around again, and even the veins of the horse shown here. Look, look, people, the veins in the face of a horse, all encrypted in a silhouette-like way in this virgin's clothing. What is the detail of all of this? Showing you that through her genetic bridging with our ape and African ancestor with these creatures, she emerged as more white, genetically altered, than that of our black ancestor, which she evolved and emerged. That's what this is shown. These clothings represents the skin of the creatures they were covenanted in and bridged over. This style runs rampant amongst the Renaissance artworks, masterpieces. What else is here? Well, I'm going to show you something over here. Where is that? Are we dealing with that lotus? Let me see if I have that lotus flower here. Oh, yeah. It's my position that right in here and right here, up on the angels up on top. Let me, up on top here with the angels, let me see if I can get that image to come down. That the same representation of that lotus flower is represented with these supposed angels here, which I know what they are too, by the way. You have the same statement being made. What else is here? There's more here, people. Well, there's a representation of something else that is being made here. Clouded figures that you cannot even imagine contain. Remember how people say you're seeing things in the clouds? Oh, you need a head shrink, this, that, and the third. Well, amazingly enough, Renaissance artists has nothing but encryptions with these clouded figures, silhouettes of these creatures that are in clouds. You see this guy's foot coming around and coming into here. Do you know what this is? Right here. Could you imagine? I'm gonna see if you can. Oh, my! I almost let my computer fall back there. Let me bring this in. Do you know what this is, people? Right here. You see this guy's foot here, this angelic or divine figure, like you see what his foot is going into? You know what the foot is going into here? You know what this is? Right there. Look at this clouded shape right here. And I see it as clear as day. It's the open mouth of a dog. Now, before you start laughing, listen to my description about what kind of dog this is. That's what kind of dog this is. Hey, let me call you right back. Okay? Yeah, thank you. This is this is a description. This is a image of a dog. The body of a dog laid out in clouded form. Okay? And there's also something else there with the dog because there's a face there. But I'm going to show you something. Here's the chest cavity area of the dog here, and you actually see the foot. I'm going to see if I can bring that in closer for you. Here's the foot. I can see this as clear as day. For many of you, to get your eyes trained to see it, you would actually have to accept the idea of these images even being there. All right, there's both legs of the dog coming out. This is the dog's chest area, and this is the open mouth of the dog with that of a human figure's face right here. Do you know what kind of dog this is? Right here, encrypted in the clouds. This is a Saint. Get it now, people. A Saint Bernard. A Saint Bernard. Now, what is a Saint Bernard doing there? Well, think about it for a minute. First of all, for those of you that don't know, the ancient, actually, it's actually believed and rumored that mankind actually emerged from dog in the ancient times. It's never been proven, of course. But I know for a fact that we have been bridged over a dog. In fact, I've linked our existence to that of the ancient mythical story of the Levitron, which is the ancient dragon, and the behemoth, which is the ancient dog. Okay, so, and then just not just that, I've linked mankind's genetic alterings and bridgings to that of dog. Okay, and this is why in a lot of these Renaissance artist paintings, you see the dogs, and they're usually two-tone dogs, either black and white or brown and white. You will see these dogs appearing. Think about it for a minute. In royalty and in royalty paintings and in that of our Renaissance artist paintings dealing with everything. Where these encryption styles are, you will see. You know why? Because it's showing you how these animals genetically contributed to altering mankind's genes from what? From their original state, which was that of our ape African ancestor, to that of our later Caucasian ancestors. And that's what this is all about. So this is why you can find a saint. Now this is a saint. I use that word loosely, Saint Bernard. Now, that Saint Bernard is linked to another dog. I think it begins with an M, but I don't have it written down here. a Masuria, or something like there. But Google the ancestor of the Saint Bernard, what the Saint Bernard comes from, and you will see that image right there in the cloud. So you have an open dog mouth with a face of another being right there, mankind right in there, hooked with the dog, and showing you the Gen X nowhere but going over to here, genetically bridged. These people, these artists, this is Paul Rubens, showing you how there is a genetic change. But the one that stands out the most for you people is when you go and look at this virgin sleeve, and look how she's wearing her sleeve, how she's emerging genetically. She's falling away genetically, and shows you that I'm bridged over. I was genetically altered because my genes were contaminated with these genes and this genetic bridging, which is all described right here. And now she's pregnant with the baby of Jesus. So what is her pregnancy has to do with a horse's head, which describes the genetics of the horse. Now look, people, look at the veins. This is no mistaking this. Look at the veins that that is very consistent with the face of a horse, the over top of the eyebrow area of the horse's eye, the head of the horse, and then coming around the horse's mouth. And this is all through the way the artist created her clothing, creates the head of a horse. Paul Rubens. I got to keep going because there's other paintings. Now, then down here, what do a cat, a horse, a cat, and a dog, people? A horse, a cat, and a dog. I gave you the dog in the clouds. Now hold on, because this. Hold on, people. Hold on. The dog. The cat is down here. When you Google the image, the cat is down here, right here next to that penis, laying next to this basket with the penis in it. And if you look closely out of the penis, you'll see snaking off semen, which represents a genetic bridging over. It shows a breakdown of the genetics of our black ancestors with animals. Now, not with the cat, but with the representation of the ancestral roots of the cat. This cat is describing which cat the image of that cat is showing you that there was a genetic breakdown with our African ancestor and the cat. The genetic roots of that cat's ancestors were broken down, and it's showing you a cycle from which all of those genes was broken down. And now this woman at this time is giving birth to a miracle baby, Christ, containing the contamination of all of these creatures that are being shown depicted. That's your miracle baby. Now, hold on, because it gets better. Again, this is by Polio de Mates. That's P. Here, let me put that up there. This image, the Annunciation. Paolodmattes. And this is the Annunciation by him. And I was running out of ink, but I'm going to give you a couple of, again, we have the lotus flower, which is right here. Okay? And again, in the darkened area, look here. You will see encryptions there. Let me see what I have highlighted so you can actually see. Okay, and here, remember I said that this slate here represents the stone area, represents here the reptilian or the reptile. I don't believe that I have that. If you look into here, now this is a poor copy, people, I know. If you look into here, which looks like a flower, you will see the face of a reptilian being right there. And I guess I put the eye there, the mouth. Okay, showing you that through the lotus representation, and it's not saying through the lotus. I'm sorry, I'm not saying through. In the way that the lotus emerged, mankind emerged, meaning through mud, through murky water, into oceanic life form, water life form, into that of man being, and which first reptilian. And that's what this is suggesting. All right here. And it's describing that in the same way that this flower blossomed into light, it's the same way that the mankind's life forms evolved the same exact way. And how through a process, a cyclination process of genetic altering and manipulation by those that knew how to alter our genes in a cauldron in a cult-like way, they boastfully show how these miracle babies popped up. You look right here. There's a witch-like woman who I dub as the mother of creation. Look in here, you'll see a face. Wherever she appears, the ape appears. There's a nose and an eye. You will actually, right here in the crest right here, you will actually see that she actually wears the hood. I dub her as being the mother of creation, the Medusa-like woman, right here, which describes where she is, where her bloodline is, based on what I can see here, here, and then the rest of the image with the lotus flower, all of that, I can describe to you what is actually being shown. Now, if you look right here in this area, in the darkened area, these are our faces of that of our ape and African ancestral genes encrypted in here in multidimensional faces, which represent them genetically, because without them genetically, these likenesses did not come. But they can't put the Africans there, the apes there, and all of that out there, and because then that would make it too easy for you to understand what is actually being stated. But hold on, people, because it gets better. I'm going to go to the last but not least, for now, Leonardo da Vinci's Annunciation. Okay? And again, it's my position that that lotus flower is right here. And in there, Da Vinci candidly shows us that witch-like woman's face, which is the mother of creation, which could be shown both ways. You can see it this way going out. I can give it to you in many ways. The chin, the nose, the eye right there, and the flower creates that face, that familiar face. And I'm going to show you something about this. The witch-like woman, who I dub as the mother of creation, but yet I'm going to turn it in another direction here, so where you can see it on a smaller level and gives you an idea right there. Because in the resolution, different resolutions is multi-dimensional images. There's a face right there, a witch-like woman's face, and that lotus flower, where Da Vinci is showing us right here through that murky lake area there, that flower is emerging. And this is a Hindu culture originated scenario about this lotus flower. Now, wherever the mother of creation is, it's showing you how black is going from white. Look at this funny looking tree back here. You know what that creates? For those of you that don't know, why would this bush be here creating a face? And, well, actually, here's the right eye, here's the left eye, the nose area, and here's the mouth area. It creates the face of that of an ape. And you know what it's suggesting? An extraction. It creates the arrowhead going up. And you know when they be pointing up, you know what that means? That our ancestral rooted genes of our black ancestor taken out. Extraction. There's the face of an ape there. But hold on. It gets better because those encryption styles, now I'm telling you that this is the lotus that creates the face of a witch-like woman, Medusa, the woman with the snakes and all of that. Wherever she appears, our ape ancestor appears as well too. Okay? And this is why this bush here, this tree in the background, has two eyes in it. A right eye and a left eye, and the arrow going up. I actually even pointed, gave an arrow going up. So this is what this is meaning. At this point, when Jesus was born, a certain level of black ancestral genes were taken out. A removal, a genetic bridging which calls for blackness to be taken out. This is at a point where this miracle baby, this pregnancy, have taken out another level of our black ancestral genes to where our later Caucasian counterparts, which would be through that of Jesus, will be more white than they were black. That's what that's about. Not just inwardly, but outwardly as well. Now, hold on, people, because it still gets better than that. Now, I made a video on this. I like this here because, you know, most of you don't know that we emerge from the, well, I guess you should know because science is actually showing that we emerge from oceanic creatures of our world. And one of our ancestors is the whale. So Leonardo da Vinci, in creating this angelic-like figure, creates her clothing, cleverly creates down here the image of an open-mouthed whale. This is the undermouth here of that whale here, and the upper portion here where this angel cleverly has her hand holding the mouth open. This creates the open mouth of a whale right there. It even has a eye, people. Where is the eye? Or is it in the... did I put it on this? I put it on this one. I'm going to bring that in close so you can see. I'm going to show you about where you're going to have to, and depending on the resolution that you get, but there is an eye right there. I don't know if you can actually see it. And you can actually see the whites of the eye because you never looked at it as being a well right there. So when you look at that image right there where my pen is at, look at the whale. There's the bottom portion of this is why this is explained, people. Look at that. How that the bottom portion of what we would see as a whale, why would these colors be here? Think about it for a minute. To create the undermouth of a whale, the open mouth of the whale, and then the black portions of a whale as we actually know it. Right here in just this area. Why would Leonardo da Vinci deviate from this color code here to describe this? And how am I able to pluck a whale out of this angel? Well, people, because I know that through the body of the whale and the ancient shark, which is the mega shark, emerged a life form which would later result in that of mankind. And I know what the creatures are. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to bring Medusa out of here for you. I want to bring Medusa to you from this image, Leonardo da Vinci's image here. Oh, hold on. Let me do the penis since the penis is here. This virgin, just like how Paul Rubens was candidly put that penis in that basket here. Is this the basket? No, this is not the basket. Here, where's the basket with the penis? Where are you, Paul Rubens' penis? I can't. I gotta hurry here, people. Let me show you. Oh, right here. Just like Paul Rubens put that penis right there in the basket next to the cat over there, shows you a genetic change the semen change. This is how they represented that, people. Well, right here, I see a penis there with her hand at it. This snaking like this object going down is showing me a semen flow, and then it has a face on there describing which has been genetically altered, just like Paul Rubens did, and which new genetics through semen was created based on that face right there. I see right there. I know what this is describing, and it's saying a similar story to what is being described here with that black face on that vase right there with the lotus flower. The same exact message. They can all be related to in a different encryption style, which I pretty much know them all. Now, check this out. But it gets better. Now, it's my position that from black came white, from Asian, from our African ancestor, from our Asian ancestors, and all of that. So, when these images are created, it has to show what is being described and what is being called for the new creation of this new baby. So let's take this angel's face by Leonardo da Vinci. She was once black before. She was once that she evolved from that of our African and our ape ancestor. So before there was Caucasian, let me see. So we have off the continents. We have, to give you an example, we have our ape, which was the blackest of creatures. Then we have our Africans, which was our darkest and darkest skin of creatures. Then we have our Asian world, and it shows you how the skin becomes lighter. Well, the same thing with this. So she's describing right here genetically in her hair. Look at her hair right there, and that's her other face right there. There's a face and a face. Let me see if I have that already drawn. Okay, here. I wonder if I can get that in for you. Right here. Leaning forward, there is a chin right there. Are you following my pencil, people? Okay, there's a chin right here. I'm going to try to make this as dark as possible. There's a mouth. There's a, I'm going over top. That's the lips. I'm in the lip area. Here's a cheek line right here. Here's the nose right there. The nose is open-ended. It's not closed-ended. Showing you that from this creature emerged that creature. Now check this out, people. Here's the over the eyebrow area. Here's the eye right there. I'm going to put the eye in. There's an eye right there. I'm going to see if I can bring this in closer for you. Then we come across the forehead. And guess what's at the forehead, people? Right here. I'm going to try to... Let me see if I can get this in closer for you, too. Oh, yeah, that's a little bit better. Hold on. Not as much better. Let me see. You see the woman coming to play right there? Look. You see that ape-like woman right there? Here's her forehead. Now, guess what's at her forehead? I'm going to draw that out. Well, it creates the body of a worm creature, which is that of the family of our serpent and our snake. Right there. You see that? Right there. That worm-like object, which is consistent with all my other findings. The Medusa-like woman with the snake up off the head, showing you how she came from her. You see that? You see the black face here? So people, why is this all fitting perfectly? You see, there's a closer picture of our ape there. There's the right ape nostril. There's the left ape nostril. There's the ape's mouth right there. You see the ape's top lip. You see the ape's lip line. Then the bottom lip. And you see the ape's left eye, the ape's right eye. And you see that ape's face right there. Why, people, am I showing you the connection? The lotus flower right here. The woman's face, the witch-like woman's face, which can be realized in multi-dimensional directions. Why can't I read this? Now, hold on though, people. Look at how off the wing, how you can see snakes and everything else snaking. Look at this wing. How this wing turns down into a face of a serpent. There's the left nostril. There's the right nostril. Here's the top lip of that serpent-looking creature. You see that? There's the lip line. You see the bottom lip? And it's showing you how these genes are being snaked over. Now, what are they being snaked over? Well, if you look here in the crest of the wing, there's actually an ape's face right back here. Right here. There's an ape's head. Right there. Here, let me draw that out for you. Here's the bottom chin of the ape. Here's the mouth opening of the ape's mouth. Here's the nose area of the ape. Here's the ape's forehead. And I even know which type of ape that is. Do you know what kind of ape that is? That's a reptilian ape. Right there. That's not a regular conventional ape like this guy being shown here. This is our reptilian ape ancestor that you knew nothing about until I actually discovered. See, people, these drawings are describing genetics not just for us, but for the creatures being depicted, because it shows how they were genetically altered and they were bridged over with reptiles that are being described in the image. I wonder if I can get that without. And that's what is going on here, people. And these reptiles appear. It shows you the cause and the genetic change for our ancestors, and there is a record. Now check this out. There go records that are not even shown here of our world. Look at that snake-like creature right there. There's the, and this here is in my video with Nervi Hall, with Christ hanging there, supposedly emerging from a nuclear explosion. People, you got to see my videos here, because all of this stuff, the snake, the monkeys, and all of that stuff, they appear in all of the artwork. Some are clearer encryptions than others. But what is always clear is what I am describing to you, what has happened. No one, until I actually came along and started making my videos, knew about any of this until I came. People have spent their life trying to figure this out. Why am I showing you penises, semen coming from penises, monkeys, encrypted faces, and showing you a cycle of genetic change that resulted in, from this likeness of our monkey ancestor, our blackest of ape ancestor, through lighter versions came the Caucasian likenesses and miracle babies, bodies of whales. People, you got to see my videos here. And this is a famous piece of artwork by one of our world's famous artists, Leonardo da Vinci, and actually he finished it after another person actually started it. And I can read these because they're genetic grails. Also up in here, there's monkeys. Right there. Look in the crest of the wings. You'll see multi-dimensional faces of the monkeys. You know how it shows you? From their darkest of version came their lighter of version. And it's showing you at which points that extractions were being made. Because people, you know why? It's showing you these historical biblical moments. It's not just here, it's in every culture of our world. They're showing you on their continent how they genetically were bridged over with the creatures that they were bridged over to get further away from the likenesses, genetically, physically, and genetically inwardly, I guess, or you might say in an organ sense, further from that of our creature, this creature right here. I can show you the process from how this creature, our ape ancestor, was created. I can go before that, of those creatures, of how they were created. You know why? Because I am genuinely, paranormally connected. If you want to call it divine, let it be divine. But all of this being described, not just in our world, people, but from beyond, in our solar system. I can read space to you just like I'm doing this, because you know why? In space, there are holographic images like this that shows there's genetic information in space just as that these artists are containing in their work. So what am I seeing here? This is nebula gas matter. You know what I'm drawing here? You tell me. Look at the faces. The same exact thing. There's black faces, there's white faces, there's dinosaurs, there's duck-billed dinosaurs. Look at the image of the lion right here. You see the eye of the lion? Look at the nose of the lion. Look at this. The descriptive face of a lion, then the mutated faces of a lion right there, showing you genes that are created. Look at this, people. Take a quick look at this. Faces of ape. You know why, people? This is not no joke. You know what this is showing us? That all of space is describing how life forms were created. And this is in our solidified form, and this is in our gas matter form. Places in gas matter and nebulae matter, where life forms, where stars are supposed to be being created. Information containing that of our own being is being created and being dispersed throughout space as well. I can do this all through space. And people, this is what our existence is all about. My name is Gerone Wright. You're watching my Geronification channel. I'll see you on my next video. Thank you. Everybody, my name is Gerone Wright, and once again you're joining me on my YouTube Geronification channel here on YouTube. Okay. In this video, I'm going to be discussing Renaissance artwork with regards to the Annunciation, meaning the announcement that of the Virgin becoming pregnant with the miracle baby Christ. Okay. It's my position through my ongoing paranormal experience and encounter that I have discovered what the true meaning behind all ancient texts with regards to ancient Christianity, um, miracle births, and the journey and the calls for Christ, the story behind it all, what it actually represents and where it derives from. Uh, these references are the history of the lotus, with linking that of our Hindu, um, um, what do we have here? Okay. All right, with linking that with our Hindu ancient text, this story here of that lotus fits perfectly with everything that I am describing here, because the lotus is the only plant of our world that is known to grow through mud beneath water, muddy soil. Through its stem goes through the water, grows through the water, and then the flower blossoms just above the water. Okay, this story of the lotus is fitting for that of everything that I'm describing, of how mankind of a genetic manipulation and bridging of that of mankind's genes. What it is actually suggesting, it discusses how from our ape ancestor, our African ancestor, came the cause and genetic change and likenesses of other beings, which resulted in that of our Caucasian counterparts. It's describing how from genetically these beings emerged or genetically altered themselves from our black African ancestors and ape ancestors, and it's an evolution of mankind's genetics. Um, it's also my position that the symbolization of the cross, which I'm going to put here, identifies the cross with being the cross referencing of our genes and of mankind's genes with that of animals and creatures of our world. And this is how we became the lotus, which is firmly rooted in Hindu belief as a flower, in describing how mankind genetically um, um, sprouted as well. You know what I mean? So you have to look up the lotus and then look up Hinduism, Hinduism, and how that is actually referred to as that, as the with the lotus. Okay, and it all fits together, hand in glove. Let me hand in glove, or hand in hand, on what I am describing and why you will see the lotus, and this, which also looks like the lily, right there in that plant. I mean, in that flower pot or vase. The lotus looks very much like the lily, which is also a flower that is in religion. But the reason why I am describing this flower as a lotus is because there's a clear record as to how it all unfolded, and it's my position that such a scenario of what I'm describing here calls for a massive record. And that record, as I've discovered and shown here in my many videos, is kept in the Renaissance artwork of our world's famous artists. Through historical moments and times, they're showing you what occurred genetically, and how mankind was genetically altered. And they boastfully encrypted in their artwork. And to understand and accept what I am giving to you in detail, then you can understand why these images appear the way they do. Alright, I'm going to start describing some things and make some connections. I believe also that through this, I'm going to also make a Hindu connection to that of the